Skip, I'm going to say the defensive end has a lot to do with him being tired. It's been a long time. It's been well over a year since he last played meaningful basketball. Skip, I'm not talking about the little 15, 20 minutes that he played in the preseason, because, you know, you get in basketball shape by playing basketball. And I'm not saying that little conditioning that he was doing in the preseason, but in a meaningful basketball that counts towards wins and losses, it looked like he was winded last night. A lot of reaching, a lot of grabbing. Ben is a guy that, even though he's 6'10", 6'11", he can slide really well for a man his size. That's why he's made all defensive twice in his short career. But last night, on the offensive end, he looked exactly where he picked up where he left off against the Hawks the last time we saw him in a Game 7. All of his shots came from in the paint. And it wasn't a very good debut for him. That's not what the Brooklyn Nets fans had anticipated or hoped for. I can assure you that's not what his teammates was hoping that he would put on paper. But Skip, you know, this is what we thought they would be defensively. They would be challenged. And I know they got Ben Simmons, but they gave up 130 points on their home court. B.I. got what he wanted. Zion is a handful. I don't know who thought that Ben Simmons, even though he's 6'10", could deal with Zion, because Zion is 2 grown men. As a matter of fact, he's 2.5 grown men. And you better pack a lunch. You better have a nice pregame meal to deal with that low down low. All of his shots came from in the paint. He's a handful. He get that ball and you let him get left. Just go and run on back down the court. Coach, what you want me to do? Y'all better send some help so we can cut him off. B.I. got it going. Zion had it going. C.J. chipped in. And I think this is a great spot for C.J. because you're asking him an awful lot, Skip. I don't think he's quite a 2, where you know, okay, AD is a 2 in what you call it. Well, Kyrie is thinking. I don't think C.J. is that. But as a third option, somebody's gonna have their hands full dealing with this team. Great team win. 31 assists. 13 turnovers. That means the ball was moving. It didn't stay in one place one particular time. And then the other guy, the tall guy that wanted to trade, had 32 meaningless points. They were getting blowed out the entire game. I don't know why he came back in the ball game. That's what Skip tell me. Played until 4 minutes and 30 seconds in the game, and they were getting blown out.
Yeah, well, he's not chasing Kareem.
He was chasing numbers. He was chasing. You told me anytime a team get like that and you're playing late to the ball game, you're chasing stats. He did exactly what you said LeBron did the other night.
He was gone with 4.5 minutes left in the game. LeBron plays to the bitter end, scoring bitter points.
Did he play until the bitter end on Tuesday night? Let's not talk about what is done in the past. Let's talk about recent history. So with that being said, Skip, it's going to be tough for them because I don't – look, it's one game. And I know Kyrie didn't have it going last night, but their offense is their defense. They try to put so much pressure on you by scoring the basketball. But this is a defensive challenge team that doesn't have a whole lot of bricks in their back pocket. Kevin Durant, 175 pounds. Claxton, 165 pounds. Kyrie, 95 pounds. So they don't have anybody with size and girth. Their thing is skill offensively. Let's put the ball in the hoop at an elite level and see if someone can keep up with us. But if they can't, on a given night, one of those guys struggles scoring the basketball, they're going to be a heap of trouble because the other team is going to be able to get what they want, when they want it, how they want it.
Okay. I will begin with this. I have told you from day one, Zion Williamson is a force to be reckoned with. You have never, ever bought into that. Even when he's healthy, you haven't bought into that.
I say the only thing that concerns me is his health. But
I have never, ever seen anything like the wrecking ball with skill, with finesse skill that is Zion Williamson. And my only X factor about last night was, will he fit right back into what was a very good team by the end of the year last year?
Right.
That was becoming a force to be reckoned with as a basketball team, thanks to one of the best young coaches in basketball who's on his way to becoming maybe the best coach in basketball. Would he blend in? Well, he blended last night because he led the team with 22 shots, and it shocked me that he took 5 more shots than your man B.I., the ex-Laker, because I'm not sure B.I. loves that. And I don't know that he's going to love that going forward. But it's hard to argue when of the 22 that Zion takes, he makes 11 of them. They're all in the paint, but he makes all 11 in the paint because he is virtually unstoppable in the paint. So what happened last night? Ben Simmons, right out of the box, is tasked with guarding that wrecking ball. And Ben Simmons, I don't know what he weighs. He probably weighs 230 or 40, somewhere in there. He's 6'10", but he looked like a stick figure up against Zion. And every time Zion would pause on the perimeter and say, he'd look at Ben Simmons like, seriously?
They sent you?
Seriously? Really? And it's one dribble right, one dribble, a little crossover dribble, and then hard drive left. And Ben Simmons is just falling backwards, and he's got no hope. Because this man, I'm going to read what Kevin Durant said a couple of days back, because Kevin's got high basketball IQ, and he studies basketball history. When he speaks about the big picture perspective of basketball, I'm all ears. And he said you've seen a lot of guys Zion's size at 6'7", a lot of Charles Barkley type, bruiser type guys who played much bigger. But he says Zion's athleticism trumps all of theirs, including Charles Barkley's. By far, he said, trumps theirs. And when you add that to the mix, it makes him one of one. He is one of one. Never seen anything like it, because the finesse is also there at the rim. He's ambidextrous, and he even said last night, I felt a little rusty because 3 or 4 times I thought, okay, that's in, and it would lip out. Okay, we'll let him kick the rust off a little bit and then see what happens. So I felt a little sorry for Ben Simmons getting thrown back into that fire against that guy right out of the box.
But Skip, when you put that big caboose on you, he's going to dislodge anybody from that spot. It doesn't matter if it's Ben Simmons.
Now the caboose is minus, I don't know, 20 pounds maybe, and he looks pretty good. He looks pretty fit. At this moment, he looks pretty healthy. He had the tweak of the ankle the other night, but it didn't seem to bother him a bit last night. I'm just here to say, this team was good enough last year without him that if he does blend in, if Willie Green can make it work, and I think B.I. will be some issue going forward because he's used to scoring 25, 30 points.
Skip, he got an efficient. He got 28 last night on 17 shots. The thing I don't think he'll have a problem with, hell, they all at the rim. It's not like Zion is jacking up threes, Skip, and taking some ill-advised shots.
In fact, he'll take 1 or 2 a game. He took none last night.
He didn't need to. He's like, y'all can't keep me out of here. I don't need to be out there.
And by the way, it's hard to argue when you're a quote-unquote big man has 4 steals. He's out on the perimeter dislodging the ball from people. Well, okay, so if you add him and blend him into this mix, I'm here to say, could they win the West this year? Yes, they could win the West. Sure, they could.
You think they got enough outside shooting to win the West?
Well, CJ's pretty good, right? And then
but he was 3 of 9 last night.
Trey Murphy comes off the bench last night and makes 4 or 6 threes, and I don't know if that's going to be sustained, but that was pretty good. They shot 46% from 3. That will work. And their defense overwhelmed Brooklyn out of the box, and Brooklyn is a little shaky. It's like, who are we with Ben? Who's going to be the point guard? And they weren't ready for the onslaught. Would you believe Brooklyn turned it over 9 times in the first quarter? Well, the game was over in about 5 minutes, because if you're going to turn over 9 times in the first quarter, the score is 32-14 after 1 quarter. Over and out.
You let a team shoot 50% from the floor, 60% from the 3-point line, Skip. You shoot 30 and go 0 for 7.
Okay, so here's my issue with what you said about Ben Simmons. You said he looks just like the last time we saw him. Well, that's in a regular season game. The last time I saw him on a court in a preseason game was game number 3 of this preseason. He played 28 minutes that night against the Bucks, who were trying, because they'd lost their first 3. The Bucks were trying to win the game. And Giannis played 32 minutes and had 24 and 14. So don't tell me it was against scrubs, because it wasn't against scrubs. They didn't have Chris Middleton, but it wasn't against scrubs. And that night, I tweeted about it. I told you about it sitting right here in this chair the next morning. It looked different to me because Ben scored 7 points, but he had 8 rebounds and 10. Remember, he had 10 assists in 28 minutes. And he was the point whatever for that team that night, because he brought the ball up. Again, you can call him point forward, point center, point 5, whatever you want to call him. He was sensational, and they ran it and shot it that night. And I could not recognize that team last night, because Ben shrank back to Philly level last night. When it was time to play a real game, all of a sudden he got real quiet, and he shrank down to about 6'1", where he's 6'10". I think he might be 6'11" sometimes when I see him standing up next to Durant.
And that's what I mean, Skip. When I say he looked like Ben the last time we saw him in a meaningful game, he shrunk under to the occasion. Look, I did not expect him to neutralize Zion, because he's not big enough. He just doesn't weigh enough. And
They don't have anybody on the roster who can even begin to deal with Zion.
Well, Skip, if you really think about it, there's no one in the NBA, because if you're big enough, that means you're not quick enough. And if you're quick enough, you're not big enough. That's what Kevin Durant says. He's one of one. Charles, what made Charles so unique is that Charles was that size and he was quick. So imagine somebody that's 25 pounds heavier than Charles, but twice as quick as Charles.
Yes. Much more explosive, athletically explosive.
We had never seen anything like Charles Barkley.
No.
A guy that could get up, get back up, and bound.
And Charles could shoot at some.
But this kid, Skip, this kid is 285, 290 pounds with a 40-plus inch vertical. That's absurd. That's crazy.
With explosion.
You're not supposed to be like that.
Right. No. Okay. I got it. But what shook me was, I thought Ben was going to be the new center of the universe, and then if he's distributing, I don't care if he scores or not. Now, you'd say down the stretch, down at the end of the game, he's going to be a liability. So he missed the 2 free throws he shot last night. But the telling tale came after the game when Kyrie was asked about the conversation he had a year ago with James Harden. When James got there, remember, I'm going back 2 years actually, but remember they had this preseason conversation. Kyrie just announced to James, "You are our new point guard. I'm the 2 guard."
Correct.
And he was asked last night, Kyrie was, "Did you ever have that conversation with Ben Simmons?" He said, No, we did not have that. Because last night, Kyrie clearly wanted to be in charge of the offense. Well, if you're going to be in charge, which I did not think was going to happen, where does Ben exactly fit into the offense? Now you have a Westbrook situation, like you do exactly what, where, how.
Right. But here's the thing, Skip. Kyrie's